Good evening. My name is Iskra Perez Salcido, and I am your host. Welcome to our weekly show about an English debate. Tonight's show will be regarding the new tax laws that we have in Cuba, and our my co-host will be joining us soon. He is running a bit behind schedule. Raquette Caballero will be joining me in only a few minutes. But I wanted to go ahead and try to get in here. I know we are a bit behind schedule. We were going to try to get this down to the 9 o'clock, but he he was behind schedule. I've had a busy schedule today also. As you all know, as you all probably know, I've had a surgery, and it's only been 2 weeks, so I'm in a recovery stage. And today we've had a an interesting day, basically nonstop. So but we are here. We are here, and I imagine that Riket will be joining me very, very soon. In the meantime, I want to go ahead and find some information for you guys to start. I'm going to start putting some videos on for you. How y'all doing? Let's start with that. How's everybody doing? Please share. I want, if you can please share, share with your friends, share with your family members. We are trying to get the word out about um, these English debate. We need the international community to learn about what is happening in Cuba. Today, over the weekend, there was actually a lot happening over the weekend. While Well, let's start with the positive. Okay, I want to start with the positive because last week we had a triumph. There was a internationally on December 10th was Human Rights Day, um, and at the anniversary of the Human Rights Day, and throughout the day, throughout the world, there were many manifestations from Cubans all over the world that got together, and we decided that we were going to uh, get together and manifest ourselves and tell the Cuban people inside Cuba, we are here with you, and it doesn't matter what this government is doing, we're going to stand by your side. And we also wanted to tell all of the international organizations that there are no human rights in our country. And so this is how this is what we did. Throughout the world, there was a total of 27 countries that came together, and we did it, and it was wonderful. Well, throughout that day, the Cuban government made announcements throughout the day about they had something very special, and they had all these. And I'm trying to fix my hat because this is not how it's supposed to be. But as I said, I've had a very long day today, and they said they had a very special um, announcement throughout the day. They came out and said, we have a very special announcement, and they were trying to basically undo what we were trying to do. the fact was that the announcement that they made was that they are now going to give an additional tax to all Cuban nationals that go out. So if you are a Cuban national and you live in Cuba, but you go out of your country for a contract, or you leave Cuba for, less than 24 months, and you work outside of Cuba during that time, you're still considered for them a Cuban national, because the rest of us are not considered Cuban national, by the way. For the Cuban government, any of us that do not go back within the 2-year limit, we are no longer Cubans. So it doesn't pertain to us because we are not Cuban nationals. But for those people that are considered Cuban nationals because they go back every 2 years, they are now going to be taxed they're going to be given a Christmas bonus. And their Christmas gift this year from the Cuban government is a 4% tax on your entire income. So even though you did not make any money inside the Cuban soil, even though you own no houses inside Cuba, even though you have no businesses in Cuba, even though you made absolutely no money in Cuba, you have to pay 4% to the Cuban government for any money that you made outside of Cuba. And how they're going to do this, I have no idea. They didn't give us the explanations. I imagine the only way of doing this, as an accountant, I can tell you that the only way of doing this would be by asking you for an income tax return from whatever other country you were living in at the time. And you would have to give them all this personal information about your tax return, which, if I were those people, I would be very scared to do that, because as we all know, in our tax returns, there is a lot of personal information that is attached to our tax return, including obviously our names, our social security information, our addresses, our spouses information, our children information, and all of their social security numbers and their date of birth. So if there was a person behind the scene that wanted to commit any type of fraud, which is something that the Cuban government is actually very well known to do, this would be the ideal way of getting that information from all of the Cuban people. And I feel bad for mostly, not for all the Cubans that are going to do it, because there are some Cubans that are going to go back and they're going to do it. I feel bad for the older people that have no idea, or they have some idea, but they don't necessarily understand, what can happen with their information if they give all this information to the Cuban government. And what that entitles. And I'm very concerned, especially for the most vulnerable of our population, which is basically the older generation. And that's where I'm, I am very extremely concerned. Today, I had conversations with other people about this. Actually, throughout the weekend, I had conversations about this um, with other people. And even though I am not in agreement with a lot of what happens with the older generation from Cuba that comes to the United States, and they have been given a lot of help here. And it's not, and we need to actually find laws to help us with this, because it's hurting the people here in the US, and it's hurting our Social Security. The people that have been working here, I have been working in this country since I was 13 years old. And I'm only 50, so I have another, 12 to 15 years before I hit my retirement age. Probably by the time I get to my retirement age, there will not be a Social Security or Medicaid system. And pretty much it's because a lot of that, help has been given to a lot of people that have come at a very, advanced age from my country and from other countries, but from my country mostly. And a lot of that help has been given to them. And they come to this country, have never worked a single day in this country. Now they get Social Security, they get Medicaid and Medicare. They probably get low housing income, or some sort of housing help from the US government. They probably get food stamps from the US government. They get it all. They basically they get it all because they're low income, and they have not worked a single day of their lives. And I'm not opposed to that, because yes, they are the elders, and they do need help, because they are the vulnerable side of our society. I understand that. What I am opposed to is that they now are going to take that money, and they're going to go to Cuba, as they have done probably since the first year they came to the United States. And now, not only are they going to take money back to their families and to whoever they take that money to, and take good vacations while they're there. Now they are going to give 4% of my money and your money to the Cuban government. So now we have a problem. Now, not only is the Cuban government going to be taxing the people that go to Cuba, and those people are going to pay those taxes, because a lot of people are just going to do it. They're going to do it because they have their families there. Because that's what dictatorships do. They have divided our families. they have retained our family members, and we have a lot of us have no choice but to hi Jose, I'm going to give you, I'm going to put this, let me put um the I'm so sorry. I am going to put, and I'm new at all of this, and I'm going to go ahead and post the links. I'm sorry, Riquette has left me by myself. This is all new to me. I'm trying to do everything on my own, and it's very hard. But I'm doing the best I can. So not only is now all these people going to go back to Cuba, and they're going to be flying home to see their families. Okay, I have no issues with that. Well, I do have some issues with that. But they're also now going to be leaving a not just a 4% tax on everything they've made in the United States. So if the US government is paying them $12,000, because I think it's almost $800 a month now that the supplemental SSI is, and so you're talking about 800 times 12, it's $9,600. Okay, give and take. So let's multiply that by 0.04. Okay, so you're talking about $400. But that's not all. Guess what? They're also going to be changing they're no longer going to be taking the US dollar. They're going to take your US dollar and they're going to give you their pesos. And they are going to devaluate that money to their convenience. So pretty much it's going to be, whatever they decide, they lay the law at their convenience whenever they want. And we need to stop paying attention. And we need to stop doing this. We, as Cubans, we can't continue this. It's a vicious cycle that we go around in circles. And I don't understand. Listen, I had family there. I left in 1980. And when we left, we had no idea. And I left two of the people that I loved the most in my life. Yes, they are professional mafias, Jose. So in 1980, I was 9 years old when my parents decided that they were going to leave that country because my father was against the communist idea. And because of a simple fact that my father, because I had no idea what communism was, I had no idea what democracy was, I had no idea what capitalism was. I was 9 years old. I didn't make the decision of leaving. My parents made that decision for me, and I thank God every day that they did. But because my parents made that decision, I was bullied in school daily for months because we were put on lists. Yes, you heard right. We were put on lists because when you decided to leave, you had to write all of your family's name. Everyone that was leaving had to put their names on a list. And so they would go to your work and your schools, and they would come to your home, and they would say all kinds of horrible things to me and my family. Only because hi Jose, let me bring you in. Only because we
Nope.
I left. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's out of the picture.
I don't know what I've done here. I am
Sorry,
there's
sorry to
a,
take you out of the
there's
story
a
you're telling there.
lot of control, so much to do. This is Riquette has left me to do everything on my own, and I'm very good at talking, but when it comes to technical, I am technically challenged, but you know what? I'm not afraid of learning. So I'm here, and I'm not a millennial like you. I am, let me
That's
tell
probably
you,
true.
Jose, I will be turning 50 in February.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So this has been, all this new technology and learning all these new things. And every day I learn from you guys so much. So I thank you. But
It's crazy.
it's
It's
hard. It's hard for us because none of this was around when I was in growing up. So my first video games were Atari. Okay.
just wait until I can't wait until we got to change to Instagram and TikTok and all those new platforms. It's gonna be
I
great.
Well, I already have. Let me tell you, I do have a TikTok. I have an Instagram. I have Twitter. I'm on it. I'm on it all. I am. I'm up to date. It's just that this new live stream is, it's got it's you got to know how to
Great.
manipulate it and how to put it all together. And I mean, it only took me about half an hour to to create the banner and
It's a process, and you continue learning. Like I'm trying to learn how to be able to make the videos. You know how people put their big screen on one side and then put the little note or the little video that you're talking about smaller in the screen.
yeah,
I'm trying to learn how to do that. so
well,
so
uh,
it's all you find necessity to get your message across, and you find a way. That's all I can tell
that
you.
that's all we can do. We do what we can. I think people are just they understand that the what we're doing is just trying to get the message across, and people, I hope people appreciate what we're trying to do. So tonight's topic is basically, what we have been talking basically throughout the weekend, which is, this whole
The 4%.
taxation, thing that, I'm an accountant, but
I have
I
a
don't
question for you on that because I've been asked by everybody, by every Cuban, when an American leaves the U.S. and they
yeah,
go work overseas,
yes.
do they have to? They're paying taxes overseas where they're working at. Do they still have to pay taxes in the U.S. as well?
Okay, so there are yeah, so they do have to do a US tax declaration. However, we have treaties with many, many, many countries.
Right.
Okay, and these treaties give us certain credits. So depending on where you live, if that country has a higher tax or a lower tax than we do, then you pay the difference. You're not going to pay double taxation,
Gotcha.
pretty much. If you're military, you're not going to pay pretty much no taxation. So, I mean, there are, and we have treaties with, I mean, there are, I didn't read the entire list, but there are treaties with just about everyone around the world.
That
So,
makes sense. And it's not the same thing anyway. It's just the reference when we get asked about it. That, you know, people going.
but the issue is, Jose, when we leave to go to another country, first of all, we don't lose our number one, we don't lose our nationality. We don't lose our residency. We don't lose
passport. We don't lose our passport.
We don't lose our passport. We don't lose our homes.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't lose everything we own. I mean, so we're if even if we had to pay taxes, okay, we're Americans. We come back, and this is still our country.
Right. No, it's funny, Iskra, because like now something is changing for real, because I am hearing from Cubans who travel to Cuba all the time, and usually Cubans who travel to Cuba all the time, they're scared to talk to any of us really, because they're scared of anything anything happening with their travels, or them affecting their entry, or them affecting anything they got going on in Cuba with their family, things like that. But more and more I get people who are, especially this last week, I have about 3 calls from people who recently, like within last week, went to Cuba and came back. And one of them wants to talk on the air. Has never shown up anywhere. But anyway, the bottom line is that people are starting to feel the change. But now with this that the regime is doing, there's some folks who thought that they could outplay the system, and thought that if they could go back to Cuba and ask for them to pretty much for re-entry, for to have a residency again, because like Iskra explained, they pretty much rip you apart from all those rights once you leave. But if you go back and you say you apologize, pretty much you have to declare that you want to be back in Cuba again. They allow you to have your status that you're living there again, and they allow you to pay less when you come
allow certain status. You're
right.
Still not allowed to do certain things.
Right, but now we know why. My point is that now we know why. So this happened maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, when they started allowing the wide opening of people going back and registering in as they were like, back in Cuba, and they were residents of Cuba again. And now we knew the plan. So there's a reason for everything. And here it is.
Their only reason is always this. Money, 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 money.
Yep, and it's American dollars, so this is what they want.
Always the American dollars, and you know what? Guess who has the American dollars, Jose?
Like their shit.
No, we have.
We have it, but we're gonna give it. Well,
they want it.
Go back and we'll give it to the dictatorship.
We have it.
I know, and they used to have the system was they always got it back through our family. Now they're getting it back straight from us.
Right, but we need to stop it. That's what people need to understand. Mm-hmm. We need to stop it. And when I talk about stop traveling to Cuba, and when I talk about and people just don't get it, this is the reason why. It's not because I don't want you to have a good time. It's not because I don't want you to see your family. It's because the more you do it, the more they're going to want, and every day they're going to want more and more and more and more. Yep. I mean, we see it every month, every other week they're coming up with something new.
Today they arrested pretty much a Cuban who went back to once the San Isidro movement started, and the first flights into Cuba, he was able to get in. And he's a reporter. He's an actual, news person. He has a newspaper, an independent reporter. And anyway, he got in there. Anyway, he was in his. They put him. They said that he was a COVID risk, but they couldn't prove he had COVID because he's tested negative like multiple times. But anyway, they had like, police escorts in front of his house.
Yeah.
He tried to get out today after, 16 days of being inside his house, and they arrested him.
So I have that video, so I'm going to put that on for you. It's in Spanish, but I'm going to put that on for you guys so that
so this can happen to really anybody who raised their boys in Cuba today.
It's just such a typical human rights. I don't know. And
it's a 30-year-old, and his family that is trying to advocate for him to not get arrested are doctors. It's like a good family in the city, in the community, people, and the neighbors are immune to it because they're scared of remember in Cuba it's a military structure, and the military kind of runs the streets. So
yeah. I'm trying to figure out now I have to figure out how to
share screen. Gotta share screen at the bottom. Share audio. Make sure to share audio.
Okay, wait. Share. Oh my God.
I've never shared a video. I've only just shared, pictures and notes.
Well, the only issue that I have right now is that I'm working. Remember, I'm recuperating from surgery.
Yeah.
So I have I don't have a second screen. I only have one laptop.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's possible with just one laptop.
I believe it might be. I think if you go to share screen and then you put the first set, which is the one screen, I think is the option, and you click that one, I think it should allow you. We'll see.
Okay, let me see. Share audio.
If not, people got the grips. It's a guy getting arrested for no reason. For no reason, and honestly, very peacefully. It's just that in front of his house. So yeah, just imagine being house detained, and if you take a step out, you get arrested.
Yeah, it's just.
It's really sad because when he went, I tell you, Iskra, it kind of gave me a little goosebumps and make me want to go. And now, now I'm seeing kind of like what's going on. It's like, yikes! We kind of expected that to happen, but he was also very courageous in going, and
Yeah. Okay. Do you see anything on your end?
I see the video is about to load. There's a black screen where the video goes.
Okay. Good. Okay.
And now the video showed up. Now we just gotta play it. I don't know if you shared audio.
I did share the audio.
There you go. You're good. Yep. We got it.
All right. So yeah, learning.
Kind of like please, and please don't take them, but kind of back and forth. And they're like, "What's the accusation?" Here the dad is saying that he's going to go to the courts to try to defend his son tomorrow. The officer's not giving no reasons.
Ven para acá, ven para
There's two negative tests already.
Esa no es la causa. Díganos la causa. Díganos usted la causa. Díganos usted la causa. Nosotros no tenemos problema. Pero no viva aquí. Viva en mi casa.
Ya, mi tía, ya.
Tengo un argumento realmente sólido que me convence a que usted tiene que estar. ¿Por qué tiene que estar contigo? Búsquenme un argumento, yo lo voy a hacer cumplir. Usted no con argumento y ya no sabe. Seguro.
No,
No,
no puede ir a mi casa.
¿Por qué no puede salir?
¿Por qué no me deja caminar?
¿Y por qué no lo deja salir?
Al final no estoy presupuesto. Usted no me deja
Lleva
caminar.
15 días atrasado. Con 2 pesetas.
Mi tita, espérate, no, espérate.
O sea, lo que no estamos diciendo.
Señor, somos médicos.
No, con él no se habló, con él se habló clarito. Con él se habló clarito. Yo estaba en La Habana, con él se habló clarito. Y de hecho en La Habana nos dejaron viajar. ¿Por qué nosotros viajamos hasta aquí? Si no nos hubiéramos viajado. Si nos dejaron viajar de La Habana hasta aquí. ¿Y qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Y por qué?
Porque hay que entrar.
Si no, eso es corriente como yo por eso.
El argumento que usted tiene, compañero, el argumento que usted tiene.
Lo que estoy a corroborar es que yo haga lo que usted quiere que yo haga, que es que no salga, porque en mi casa yo tengo mi derecho a hacer mi cosa. ¿Qué compañero? Usted está diciendo mentira. Usted está diciendo mentira. Usted está diciendo no voy a entrar. No voy a entrar. No voy a entrar. No. Mañana vas a tener que llevar ese preso. Así, palabras como son. Vas a tener que llevarme preso. ¿Qué es lo que vas a hacer? ¿Ya? Entre.
Usted tiene que entrar para
No voy a entrar a mi casa. No sé si está entendiendo. Yo no voy a entrar a mi casa. No voy a entrar a mi casa, mami. Ya. Yo no. Aquí, el camarada de 30 años, si ahora no va a entrar a su casa. Ya, así de sencillo. Voy a hacer mi libertad individual como ciudadano como lo que soy. Y si usted no me va a permitir, pues me va a dar a otro. Entonces no voy a entrar a mi casa, no voy a poder publicidad, o me puedo lo que hacía aquí por barrio. Ciudadano docente, sin ningún delito, sin ninguna razón. ¿Qué le parece? No tiene argumento, que ya se haga, porque no tiene argumento. No, yo tengo 30 años, voy a ser mi padre.
Pero nosotros no queremos un show, no queremos que seamos una calle.
Hoy tenemos que salir. ¿Cuál es el problema? ¿Cuál es el problema?
Realmente, le voy a hablar claro. Realmente que yo voy a cambiar todo lo que me estaba diciendo. Pero no lo cambié porque me estaba convenciendo. Sencillamente, precisamente porque yo pensé que iban a tener la cordura de que eso iba a durar 24, 48 horas, no iba a durar más y que todo iba a pasar. No, han pasado 15 días sin nadie dar una respuesta, nadie dice nada. Es todos los días con un carro parqueado ahí, como si mi hijo fuera un delincuente, y eso no es así. Eso no fue lo que yo entendí. Y yo le dejé bien claro, compañero que habló conmigo, Calamán. Igual que usted no tenía argumentos ninguno. Sencillamente.
Sí, él salió también.
Para respetar eso en ese momento. Pero yo le dije a él bien clarito que no había argumentos para eso. No había.
Sí,
no tenía
claro.
argumentos ninguno.
Está grabando.
Y lo tenemos con
Se me acabó lo que les pasa.
Y yo junto con él, porque mientras él está confinado, yo estoy confinado junto con él. Porque yo también quiero salir de aquí, yo también quiero ir, pero yo quiero estar al lado de él. Y ustedes no lo dejan salir de aquí. Ese sí, está confinado. Está confinado, no hay otro. No hay otro. Usted no tiene argumento ninguno. Se han quedado sin argumento. Eso es lo que más me preocupa. Se han quedado sin argumento. No me toca. Ahí no voy a entrar.
Ya ahora ustedes entren, me hacen el favor y entren, y ya y eso se va a resolver entre la policía política, son ellos, la policía política, la seguridad.
Aquí nadie va a entrar. Aquí nadie va a entrar.
Niña, ahora trabaja usted, ¿quién es usted? Yo lo conozco, no hay identificación, usted no es policía, no es nada, yo no lo conozco. Su nombre, ¿quién es usted? ¿Qué derecho tiene usted para confinarme a mí?
La operación que vamos a repetir
¿Hasta cuándo?
Pero se no va a estar en ninguna parte.
¿Hasta cuándo? ¿Hasta cuándo? Yo la primera vez lo acepté y él también. Esto va a durar 24 horas, 48, hasta que ya esto se resuelva. Alguien entienda que es una locura, que esto no tiene ningún sentido, que esto es un poco surrealista. Yo lo entendí, está bien, perfecto, vamos más rollo. De eso hace 15 días, mano.
Corta el video y graba otro porque después.
Al contrario, todos los días me pastean una
Después se pica el video. Se va picando.
No, ya te digo,
Se envía.
está confinado, pero dejan salir. Sinceramente, no lo dejan salir hasta donde llega la locura. Esto es un poco de locura. Es que ni lo han pensado bien. Si lo piensan bien, tiene un costo político muy alto. Y además tiene un costo político muy alto. Sí, tiene un costo político muy alto. Sale la tele, sí, eso. No, conmigo no se habló nada. Conmigo eso fue sencillo lo que se habló y no se habló nada. No es así, mano, no es así. No es así. Y a partir de mañana va a tener un costo jurídico, porque a partir de mañana voy a los tribunales. Para denunciar. Para denunciar todas las
Entonces, ya, todo eso se habló.
A partir de mañana
Todo
voy a
eso se habló. Ahora, mi familia, entre. Ya, entre.
Nosotros no vamos a entrar.
No, no va a pasar.
Nosotros estamos en la cuadra.
¿Usted está haciendo una bomba? No te quiera. Ciudadanos cubanos libres, mi claro, mi barrio, mi nuevo, tienen libertad de movimiento, derecho de expresión,
Repeating a little bit.
derechos individuales reconocidos en la Constitución de este país. ¿Quién es usted para decir dónde tengo que ponerme? Nadie. Usted no es nadie. No tiene argumentos. No tiene. No.
Que entremos.
¿Por qué nosotros?
No, nadie va a entrar.
No lo podemos entrar. Usted no va
Ya. Olvídate de eso. Olvídate de eso.
Está ahí para ejecutar. Él es una cosa impersonal. Que le dieron una orden. Él ni está pensando, ni está procesando nada. Le dijeron que era así, era así. Él no tiene ni palabras, ni argumentos, ni nada, porque así son estos sujetos. Entren. ¿Ya?
Nosotros no vamos a entrar.
Bueno, vamos a entrar. Y aquí nos vamos a
Aquí no va a entrar nadie. No gesticulen, no gesticulen. No gesticulen. Ya, mi tío, ya, cállate.
No, digo lo que hay.
No. Está bien.
Fírmalo todo. Hasta como lo van a entrar allá. No, todo, claro. ¿Para dónde lo llevan? No, nosotros nosotros tenemos que saber para dónde lo llevan.
No.
¿Para dónde lo llevan?
Son ustedes.
Cooperen con nosotros.
Estamos cooperando. ¿Para dónde lo llevan?
Llevo más de 15 días.
15 días cooperando. Bueno, voy a ir.
Tenemos que saber para dónde lo llevan. Tenemos que saber. No, tenemos que saber. ¿Cómo no lo vamos a saber? Entra, tranquilito. Dale, no te preocupes. Lo que yo quiero. Tranquilo. Mira la hora. Mira la hora. Mitica, ya.
That's repeating. So that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Riquette, you joined us. I don't know how to take this backdrop, what I did back there. Please help me.
I got you. Hold on.
I have no idea what I've done. I have done the best that I could with very little training.
You did very well.
Thank
Very
you,
good.
my
That's very
dear. So that was today's arrest, and basically the entire conversation was this gentleman had been confined by the government for almost a month between Havana and now his house, and he was just stepping out of his house. He wanted to be in his neighborhood. First of all, they never showed him that he was tested. He didn't test positive for COVID before he left the U.S. Okay, he got to Cuba, and the government, that was the excuse that the government used to go into the San Isidro house to arrest everyone there. Okay. They took him to Havana for 15 days Then they told him he could go home, and they have kept him confined inside his home for 15 days. And now they couldn't give him an excuse as to why he could not come out of his house and walk around his neighborhood. There was no excuse. The guy just sat there and said, you just need to go back in. And the family kept asking him, but why? Give me a reason. Give me a judicial reason. Why do I have to go back in? And he had no reason. There was nothing, there was no law that could keep him confined in his home. So then he said, then you can't keep me in my house, so I'm gonna not. Then the guy kept saying, no, you have to go back in. And he was like repeating himself like a parrot, basically. I mean, he had no argument. There was no argument against this poor young guy that was basically just trying. I mean, you can't keep someone confined in your own home without any law-breaking reason. What was he doing? And they couldn't give him an excuse, so they put him in a van and they arrested him again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here we go again. And so, but we did know, I have been in contact with a lot of the San Isidro. Well, I haven't been in contact directly with them, but with the group, but I have been in contact with people that have been in contact with them. And this is what they were going to start. They're going to start doing this basically every day because they want to show the world what is happening, because it makes no sense for them to be confined without being able to move. So they're being house arrested with no explanation as to why they're being house arrested, because the government has nothing against them, not a single thing.
Yeah, and it's a good thing they do it too. I know that there's WhatsApp groups being formed. So one of the ways Cubans are trying to slowly get together and start protesting, the BBC reported that this let's say protest of artists in front of the Ministry of Culture there in Cuba that we talked about 2 weeks ago was the biggest protest since that they've been able to record by the BBC since 1959. In Cuba, like a formal protest, they were able to actually get reporters to verify and confirm the amount of people. So, one of the things in WhatsApp, they're trying to form groups to go do similar type of protest in different parks in Havana, and at least in Havana is what this WhatsApp groups are talking about. And the problem is that the dictatorship has people on the web who are infiltrating this WhatsApp and Telegram groups to know. So there was a group of people, I can say it now because it's all done and dealt with. There was a group of people trying to do that today in the afternoon, and when a few of them got to the park, I think they call it Park G or Parque G. I don't know exactly what that is because I'm not from Havana, but anyway, they were trying to get there. There was about 12 police units already there waiting for them. There was no arrest reported or that they could identify, but they decided not to pretty much go back home. So that's one of the things that's happening is kind of people trying to find ways to get up and protest peacefully, but obviously when you're being watched, every move you do is going to have to be very spontaneous. It's going to have to be a spur of the moment kind of thing, because anything that gets planned, even just with an hour or 2 hours prior, gets kind of it gets identified. So good thing that San Isidro is communicating, Isker, and they're doing that strategy of every day, one of them going out and showing the world that they're still under arrest just because they're in a home and not in a prison. doesn't mean that their liberties are not being served. So good action in their part to keep it on. And keep it going.
I believe they need to do something, and this is a peaceful way of them doing something. They're not breaking any laws. They're just going outside of their house, and again, they're being arrested for just leaving their own home and walking out. They're not even letting them get to the corner of their house. I mean, they're just
They're
the
not
fact
letting them out of the porch, pretty much. Almost.
just in front of their doors, they're being arrested. So it's ridiculous.
And just for the record, there because I was one of my friends was reading a story. I need to find it to see if it's true. I think he was saying that he was reading a story on some type of newspaper, American newspaper, and they were saying that some of this was inspired from Cubans. Like some of the stuff happening in Cuba is inspired by Cubans from over here. Let's make this clear. We support anything any Cuban does for their freedoms, but there's no formal collaboration. This is not. We wish this is not something that we are able to coordinate nor help, nor we wish we could help more. Honestly, there's nothing we can do. This is all spontaneous. This is coming from Cubans within the island, because it's being reported from. I heard a friend of me, a friend of mine who's looking at this stuff. He's an American person. He's like, I wanted to find from an outside source because I'm friends with you, so I wanted to know, what was saying. And he was reading a newspaper. And he's gonna get me the name and the title of the newspaper so I can find it. But they were saying that they were kind of identifying this, this new movement or this new thing that was happening as actions coming directed from the U.S. and it's nothing but the truth.
So just so you know, Jose, this has been actually within, and I had a very long conversation today, and I'm not going to give out names or anything because a lot of this information needs to be I'm not going to do it, but within the young artist groups, they have been working together for a very, very long time. This has been years in the making, to be honest, and we had no idea down here. And this is why even the opposition, even our own opposition groups, are like, what happened? How is this happening? And it's because they have been working with each other for a very long time, and they've been collaborating with each other for a very long time, and the movement has grown more and more every day. And I think this is actually bigger than what we think it is. And I'm hoping that this is. I'm hoping this is actually, and I know. I'm not hoping. I know this is the beginning of the end, and that this is the way, because they're not asking for any type of political anything. This is not a political movement. This is a social movement, and they are requesting, human rights, just basic human rights and basic social rights for any person. So I think, and there is, as you can see, there's no one leader. There's no one, and this is, I believe this is because whenever we've seen one leader, or different opposition groups, there's always the government has always found a way of breaking them up and dividing them. But this is different. And that's why I'm so hopeful, because first of all, they're young, and it's coming from a different place. It's not coming from what we're used to seeing oppositions come from. We're used to seeing political opposition groups come from a more structural way of opposition, and this is a completely different opposition type that we're not used to. But you know what? It's working, and whatever works, I am all for it.
Definitely working. And just what I would say to anybody, because sometimes we're seeing us, all of us Cubans being from the right and Republicans. A lot of these artists are not from the right; they're actually leftists, and they're just demanding their rights. In fact, Tania Bruguera, which is one of the artists who protested that day, she has a TED Talk. And if you listen to her talk, it's a complete, socialist agenda, which is great. I love diversity, but it's just that we get stereotyped so easily into just being one monolithic thinking mindset.
It's inclusion, and this is what's so good about this, because we need to include all Cubans. This is not, and this is why I love this movement, because it includes all Cubans, because we need to understand that in tomorrow's Cubas, we need to live with all Cubans, not just right side Cubans or left side Cubans, or whites or blacks. We need to be inclusive of all people. And this is why I love this so much. And as you know, I'm a very centered person, so I am all for this. I honestly am, and I'm very hopeful, very, very hopeful. And call me what you want, but maybe I'm naive, but I think this is coming from a place where we can all, because they're all speaking one language, which is
they're getting recognition. This morning he was Alcantara was on Univision, which is weird to see Cuban in Univision, but he was in Univision with Jorge Ramos,
which is as you know, that's a completely left, but it's a major news station. So we're making progress. And it's I think it's the way to go. It's definitely the way to go. So, Riquette, how are you, my friend? You're so quiet over there. I know you've had a long day. Believe me, I've had a long day too. I went to the doctor's this morning. I got home and I had people waiting for me at home, and I had conference calls, and oh my goodness, so much to do. El Psicólogo is on. Hi, El Psicólogo. Oh my God, I have not seen you in forever. If you could join us, we would love for you to join us. So
a psychologist is good for for those Cubans who are going to go back and pay that 4%. I can tell you that.
Yes. I love him. Yes, he's thank you for supporting our little channel. We need to make this grow, so please share with your friends and family. Today we were I was talking to people. We need to make this little channel grow, because this is what is going, and it's not just, listen, I want people to understand that what is happening in Cuba can happen anywhere in the world.
I have an idea. One of the things I think that this channel should be planning for is when things start happening again, like they did with San Isidro, is to have coverage in English and just start playing things as they're happening,
And how do we do that?
Especially if there's any other network.
But how do we do that? We're not there. How do we do that?
I think it's not that hard. So I think what we got to do is one, get the clearance, ask ADN, which ADN y Cubanet. Cubanet is una non-profit, so it's a non-profit, so we don't have an issue with them. but ADN and others too, when they're putting stuff up, if we can share it and do their message in English, which I think they'll say, oh, yes, everybody does it. I think we don't even have to ask because they're nonprofits, but it'd be nice just to tell them. And then,
and if there are any other platforms that maybe we can, get that have a bigger platform, because of course, we're not getting enough views, as you know. But if if there are other platforms that we can use.
My thing is like if there's any like English channel, like big news media who covers any of these things that we're talking about in English, use their same title, like Raquel was saying with the YouTube videos, use that same title and kind of like put it live, and people hook up to it like an accent.
Yeah, yesterday I spent a lot of work. I spent a lot of work. I spent a lot of my day yesterday researching and looking up YouTube videos of things that the Cuban government doesn't want you to see. So I've downloaded a lot of those videos, but I don't know if you have to get somebody to give you rights to show those videos. I don't know how that works.
If it comes from Cuban news media, I don't think so.
No, these are people that have gone to Cuba and have taken their own videos.
Then
So
it shouldn't be a problem. They might tell you to take it down,
but I don't know how. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of them is just like a lot of them is just like one, or they don't have a big channel. So I'm sure that they wouldn't have a problem, but I don't know how to get in touch with these people because they don't have a phone number. Huh?
leave a comment on the video.
Oh, I can just comment on it and see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We could do that. And next week we have a big show. We have the ladies from Canada coming next week.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
You didn't see my email? I've copied you on all the emails, Riquette. Please
I have like 6 accounts. I'll check my email.
Okay.
Wait, you have Okan coming. That's what you meant.
Yes,
Oh, that's
Okan.
awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
That's what's up.
Yes.
That's gonna be good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you guys touched on the tax situation.
Yes, we did.
Before I
But
got here. But Iskra, I wanted to ask you, since you
Your audio is a little low, Rique, just to let you know. It's kind of soft.
You cannot hear me.
Like, we hear you, but kind of like
Barely.
yeah,
well, it's just a little low. Maybe it's
the volume.
Yeah, Angel says he can't hear you.
Weird. Yesterday it was good, but now it's not good.
Okay, so you were gonna ask me about the double taxation for people who work abroad and still live in the U.S. So we went through that, but I can go through it again, right? Is that what you were going to ask me?
No, I mean, is when you compare that to the United States,
Yes. So
does that make any sense to you?
okay, yeah, okay. Let me explain to you. It does and it doesn't. Okay? Because when you are a U.S. citizen or resident, all U.S. citizen or resident, regardless of where you live, you have to do a U.S. tax. You have to do your taxes in the U.S. But when it asks you if you made money in the U.S., you declare 0 because you didn't make any money in the U.S. But when it asks you if you made money in a foreign country, then you put yes, and you put the amount there. And if it asks you that you pay taxes on that money in the foreign country, you put the amount that you pay taxes on that foreign country. And we have treaties with a lot of the countries, and I don't have the entire list, but I was looking at it, and it's a lot. I mean, it covers an entire most countries. We have treaties with most countries regarding foreign, foreign taxes. So, and of course, this doesn't even cover militaries, because even if you are abroad because of military, you only pay taxes you only have to declare taxes in the U.S. because even though you're abroad, you're still considered that you're living in the United States. Okay, so that's the second thing. Now, but if you live in the U.S. and you have businesses abroad, okay, like I have clients that live in the United States, they have businesses here, they have moved here, they have made businesses here, they have bought homes here, and they work here. But when they left their country, they also have houses in their countries, and they have bank accounts in their countries. Okay, now you have to have made more than $250,000 back in your country. So if they rent their homes, if they make more than $250,000 a year back in Argentina, then they have to declare that in their U.S. declaration. If they don't make more than $250,000, they don't. Okay.
And that's voluntary. I mean,
exactly, and it's voluntary. So that now, but remember, so let's say I decide, which by the way I am deciding, because we are, even though I was just telling Jose that next February I am going to, it's my 50th birthday.
Hooray.
And we're already talking, my husband is 58, and we are already talking about retirement, because we are not waiting until we're 70 years old and not have, we're not gonna retire with, so if Social Security is there when we retire, that's fine, but we have planned our lives and enough to be able to retire actually today if we wanted to. Thank
Excellent.
God. So we are going to be retiring and very soon. Not tomorrow, but very soon. And I might still work part-time, but I can do what I do anywhere in the world. So that's the good thing about what I do. But if I decide to leave the States for 4 years, I have several properties here in the United States that pay rents, and I will live off my residual rentals, right? So I will be doing a U.S. declaration. I probably will not be paying, making money in anywhere else, because I don't plan to work anywhere else. So I only will have one U.S. declaration. But even if I decide tomorrow to go to Spain and get a part-time job there and pay taxes over there, whatever, and stay there for 5 years. Okay, when those 5 years that I'm in Spain, I don't lose my right to vote. I don't lose my homes, right? I don't lose my nationality. I don't lose my passport. I don't lose my Social Security. I don't lose anything.
License?
No, I mean, pretty much I'm still a U.S. citizen, just not living in the United States. So I can come back at any time, and I am still a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
So even though I pay taxes because I am a U.S. citizen and I do make money in the United States, I have rights.
Yeah.
I
No, I
think,
think the issue is that, that like none of these people are making any money in Cuba.
well, that's the other part. It's a very, I mean, it's,
This
I
is
think
Losing
Eloy
everything.
from El Toque said it. It's very hypocritical, right? You don't let people make money in Cuba, but then you want to tax them when they make money outside of Cuba.
right.
And on top of that, you have you give them responsibilities, but you don't give them rights. So you have to pay taxes, but you cannot vote. You cannot, participate in the future of your country. You're just a cow that we milk, a pig, that we slice up for bacon or whatever. And you should know your place, and you should be grateful that we let you come back to Cuba.
Yeah, I don't hear of Mexicans when they go back saying, "Oh, wait, I gotta pay back, 4 or 5% of whatever I made in the U.S. the 3 years I was working over there."
Can you imagine? Yeah, exactly. Do you think they're gonna do that? No, they no. That's not even that makes no. Plus, there's an additional thing that people may not have even reasoned, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned mostly because of the vulnerable older people. Okay, how are they going to know how much you made?
Well, they have on the law. If you didn't see it on the law, they say they know, because at the very least in the law it says they can get you at least for 500. Like the minimum you can declare is $500 a month, which is paying like $20, which is $240 a year.
Most people are going to say, okay, but I don't want to pay $500 because I didn't make that much money. So I'm going to give you either my W-2 form, or I'm going, which can, and that can be.
That sounds like a terrible idea. Cuba,
right?
If you do that, you are.
They're going to ask you for, or they're going to ask you for what? They're going to
You have a boniato for a brain if you do that.
They're
Cuba.
going to ask
give
you
them.
or they're going to ask you for your U.S. taxes.
People are going to say, well, at least, like, I mean, if I were to go to Cuba, I said, you know what, I haven't declared taxes. And then they're going to say, well, where do you live? And I said, well, in the U.S. They're going to say, well, what's the minimum wage? And what's the minimum wage in the U.S.? And they're going to take me out of that.
I live in Camila's house.
No, they're not going to. Listen. The Cuban government is not that stupid. Okay, they're going to ask you for some paperwork. Okay, they're going to want something, and the paperwork they're going to ask for is that piece of paper that I do every year end, which is called.
Even the text over there gives it to them. It's an idiot. That's all I can say.
It is what it is.
Unfortunately, you know what? We have a lot of older, vulnerable people that are going to be doing it, and in those paperwork is their social security numbers, their addresses, their
You know what's going to happen, Iskra? You know what's going to happen? The next year, there's going to be a person with the same name in the U.S.
Do you read minds? Do you read minds?
That's a good one.
Exactly.
They're going to come through the border like with one of those caravans.
That is
they don't even have to walk it. They can just walk
Jose.
That's interesting.
You got it, my friend. You got it.
I was thinking, like, is this like a slap in the face just to make us talk about it and forget about San Isidro, or are they planning something? Are they so desperate that
this was a diversion from everything we worked so hard for during the December 10th Human Rights Day, because
that was big.
It was on the day that we were doing this that they started saying, "Oh, we have big news. We have big news. We have big news."
Right.
The entire day they had big news, and this was the big news.
You got
And
us.
so they diverted our big news.
You know, Angel makes a good point here, and that's about the Cubans in Europe. I think they have a different mentality from the Cubans in America. They might be more mellow, you know. I think a lot of Cubans in America are polarized.
Yeah,
to
but
the
they're not gonna
right
be mellow
a little
about giving
bit.
up their money. I tell you that. They might be you know, smoking and having fun and singing the Beatles, but when they go back and they gotta pay the money, they're gonna be just as mad as us. I can tell you that
That's
right
true.
now.
And I think actually
No,
we make
no,
more money than they do in America, right? Because
no,
Europe
but
has high taxes. So
no, but additionally to that, no, I'm going to add another layer of how upset I am about this, because now they're not. I'm not going to go to Cuba. I'm not going to pay that. I'm not
oh
going
no,
to
I can't go.
directly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
I'm
directly.
not resident. I'm not resident. That's
I'm
for
not
every people that has
me.
shown up because I don't think none of us are residents of Cuba.
Right. Me, I'm not gonna. Okay, but I am now going to add an additional layer of how upset this makes me, because do you know how many? And I haven't done the math, but I can find. I know that the data is out there somewhere. How many people that are older than 60 years old that came to the United States and never worked a day in their lives, okay, in the US, and have SSI, have low income housing, have food stamps, have all Medicare, Medicaid, and all the benefits that I probably will never get, because even though I have been living in the United States since I was 13 years old,
You make too much.
because I make too much money. And now they're going to take that money that belongs to me and they're going to pay it to the Cuban government.
Yeah, U.S. taxpayer money going
Exactly.
into the coffers of the Havana tyranny.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
How
Yeah.
how do you like that?
You know, there every day. What did Barnum Bailey say? Every day. Whatchamacallit? There's a fool born every day or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I made a video in Spanish the other day, just because if you look at the price of the people that travel to Cuba, if you look at the price or the exchange rate of the Cuban dollar, the Cuban peso compared with the US dollar, the Cuban government says out of nowhere, they pulled it out of their butt, that the Cuban peso is supposed to be 26 pesos to $1 US, right? That's what they say.
Yeah.
But then you look at the
Of course, now they have done the yeah.
yeah, the unification, which
That's
that's a whole nother situation. Let's just say now there's one less monopoly money currency in Cuba. Now it's just the old monopoly currency, which is the Cuban peso. We no longer have the CUC, which is the Cuban.
No. Now it's the real monopoly money. Because this
Right.
thing is monopoly. It's really, really monopoly money. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but
start.
like, if you look at the Cuban peso, they say that the Cuban peso is $1 is equal to 26 Cuban pesos. Okay, fine. Let's compare how many Argentinian pesos equal to $1? Around 882. So Argentina, which has like 4 or 5 times the population, let me see, about 5 or 6 times the GDP of Cuba, right? Argentina actually exports things like
Yeah, they
meat
actually do.
and soy a lot,
A lot of meat.
right? It's a pretty well developed, country.
Oh, yeah.
Argentina's currency is apparently less valuable than the Cuban currency.
But there's a huge difference. Argentina actually, it's plays in the international market. Cuba,
Yeah.
just like China, manipulates its currency to try
Right,
to
exactly.
stimulate everything. But
I
but in the
compared them to the what was it, the Thai bat, like the Thailand is one of the Asian tigers, remember that? Like the T for tiger stands for Thailand. It's like Thailand, Indonesia, blah 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 blah. And the bat is around 31 baht for $1, right? So the Cuban peso is like what, stronger than an Asian tiger? Okay, bro.
And that's by government standards. But if you go on the streets right now, if you go to Rebolico, which is where Cubans kind of find stuff that it's not sold anywhere, it's kind of like the black market on the net. You can buy, like, you can see US dollars going for 40 pesos already, when supposedly it's supposed to be 24. And what Cubans know is that by half of it, like by mid-year in 2021, it's going to be like 150 pesos per dollar.
That's where it was in '92 when I went to Cuba. It was $145 for $145 for $1.
They're going to print all these fake pesos.
Well, let me ask you guys something, because I still think that's low. If you consider that the Venezuelan bolivar went to 1 million bolivares for $1, and then Maduro just went, you know what, all those zeros, let's get rid of those, and he slashed 9 zeros, and now it's the Bolivar Fuerte, right? It's like 9 Bolivar Fuertes to a US dollar.
But that's what they try to do with the CUC, and then but that's what they try to do with the CUC, and then people were keeping the CUC, and then they didn't have anything to back up, and they kept printing. This is what happened. They kept printing money. Because people, and now they're trying to have something to back up this money they kept printing.
Right. But this is the deal. They cannot control
the money.
They can subsidize and they can create all this fake money all they want. The issue is, and this is why it's going to be 150 in mid-year, and it's going to be 10,000 pesos, like Riquel is saying, in a few months more, because they cannot control the black market. And that's really where people can find things. And what's happening is that the people who are not subsidized, who do not work for the state government, those people are going to say, wait a second, in order to live, I have to sell this thing 10 times as high, because this is what it's worth for me to go to the store and get this other thing.
So I think that then prices are going to go up. And either the Cuban government will print more money, and then it'll turn into a Venezuelan Bolivar situation, right? When you need like a, ¿cómo se dice parihuela? Like you're gonna need
you need to come in and come and talk to us. You have a lot of great ideas. So Angel's saying that the Cuba can't do that because international laws forbid taxing indigent. You went forbid.
Sorry, I'll bring it back.
Yeah, well, what I know is that for the mom and pop people in Cuba, they're going to
indigent retirees. But listen, Cuban does whatever they want, and I've never. I mean, I don't know. They don't follow any international laws, as far as I'm concerned.
That's the other thing. Like, they sign on to things, but they don't. They don't ratify them. They're like, oh yeah, we agree with this letter about human rights.
They haven't honored any contract they signed with anybody.
But they never let inspectors go in and actually verify that they have human rights. It's crazy.
Exactly. They're in the Human Rights Council, but they don't. Hey, come on in.
Listen, I got dressed just for you. I was ready to go to bed. This is so interesting because I don't get to see Cuban people in English targeting or talking about issues that affects us and that affect us. And everything is in Spanish. So I'm thank you, Miss Iskra. I sent you a friend request.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I haven't seen it, but I get a lot of them. We started this a couple of months ago, and we're trying to make it grow. Please share it with your friends, because we believe it's important for this type of information to be out in the Anglo world, because there's a lot of misinformation out there
about Cuba.
About Cuba.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. That is, I think that this 4% thing, I can't believe they're going to do that. Well, I mean, I can't believe it. But what I think they do is because it's very ambiguous. Like everything they put, even in the Gaceta Oficial, the official legal paper in Cuba, where they announce their new laws and amendments, if you can call it that.
Right.
Yeah, and it's always, the language is always very ambiguous. There's always a kind of cloudiness in the verbs that they use and in the letter of the laws. It's not like here. This, starting June 10th, the moon is going to be blue. It's not white anymore. And I agree or not, but it's clear what they intend to do. What they did with the 4% is, and the reason why I think they make all of these languages very ambiguous is because they put it out and then they wait for the reaction.
To see how people are going to react.
Exactly. And I don't know. I did a direct a live video about because the one that really scared me, that I think is the most draconian one, is the new customs tariffs for people who visit Cuba.
Okay.
Which, according to the law, the way I read it in Spanish, if you are not a resident in Cuba, meaning Iskra, Jose,
right,
Francois from Paris, and you go to Cuba, anything that is over $1,000 of value, it will be taxed 200%.
Say what now?
Say what?
Whatever. Like if I take a TV, that's like $2,000. They're gonna tax
You didn't
me.
see my director. Yeah. So yeah.
Apparently not. We missed that
I
one.
was working, man. I apologize.
No, tranquilo. It was long. Oh, you know what?
So you obviously have a show. What's your show's name? And we need to. We all need to work together, and we need to support each other. And
Is your channel's name Handheld Tour?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Handheld Tour. Okay.
That's original. I got you.
Okay. Find you.
By the way, I didn't say good night. Good night, everybody.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
I have seen Jose and other directors or live videos.
What's up, brother? I'm about to subscribe to your channel here.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that, sir. I always appreciate your darker views, Jose. If you want, I'm gonna share. I have it here actually, the PDF. I never closed it, and I'm gonna go straight. I have it highlighted and everything. I'm gonna go straight to the what I was talking about. These new tariffs that are scary.
Yes, please.
Although again, they might come tomorrow and say, no, La Mafia de Miami is interpreting this wrong. That's not what we meant to say. Yada yada.
Oh yeah, we know what they do.
All right, you got it there. You
zoom into it so that we could see.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back to the PDF. Sorry. Gaceta Oficial.
No, you're in the right place. You just need to hit the plus sign up there, so
yeah,
we can see it.
There we go.
There you go. More. Yeah.
That's good because my screen is like 22 inches and it's occupying.
There you go. Excellent. Perfect.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So this is the heading. This is the language. Authorizes the Minister of Finances and Prices. Yada yada. Boom boom. Let's go straight to the third one. The second article, it talks about residents in Cuba, which they already addressed. And yes, you're gonna pay 4% or 8% on your first travel. All right. So the natural people. Oh no! This is farther down. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, if I do go back, just letting people know I'm not taking anything home. So don't expect to get anything from me.
I know, right? Man, I zoom in so much that I'm lost here. Let me zoom it out
my friend.
real quick so I find myself in the right place.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember when I was a kid. I came to the States when I was 10, and my first trip to Cuba was when I was 12. And the first trip, my parents, when I said my parents, my dad paid $500 just to get out of the airport. And we only had like 3 carry-ons. I mean, 3 three bags.
Yeah. Wait, how much? 500?
$500.
Jesus, I remember something similar. Like I think the first time I went back, I think we paid like $50 per bag, like after wrapping, because you gotta pay for the wrapping. Remember the wrapping?
Oh yeah.
If not,
so that people don't steal your stuff, and then you put a.
They still do it. Yeah, they still do it. And
all right, I found it. So this one is the one that talks about residents in Cuba, their first trip in a calendar year. So passengers residents permanently in Cuba who import for the first time within the calendar year, from January 1st to December 31st, articles in excess of $50 US dollars, and yada yada, and up to $1,000. Okay. We have a tariff of progressive tariff of so this is how they put it. So $50 to $500, 4%, $500 to $1,000, 8%. So the reason why they do this, in my opinion, is because, as you know, in Cuba, there are many people who have a European passport, and they travel to Haiti, to Guyana, to Panama. They go, they buy merchandise, they bring it back to Cuba. They make a profit and also help the people. But if you allow that from keep happening, then you are weakening your monopoly of the
to buy from their stores, their MLS stores, and not from the people in the streets.
Correct. Yeah. From their hard currency stores, the stores that you can only buy with.
What's going to happen is that the consumer's going to have to pay for it more.
Right.
Well, of course, that's what they don't care, Jose. You know.
I know, but I'm saying nothing's going to change. It's like people going to have to pay more.
Yeah,
of course, they're also like, punishing these entrepreneurs because you actually can't have a class of people. Exactly. Actually becoming rich or successful or having savings or just having a normal kind of a stable life where they can think about other things besides survival.
Well, and I said it on my live video or my video, whatever you want to call it, is that they've done it's what is it? Streaming.
It's streaming.
Thank you, sir. As you know, my English is getting a little bit more good looking, but not very good looking, like Celia Cruz used to say. So what you said there is so true, because it's what they did in the 60s. The first thing they did is, if we want to stay in power, we need to take power out of people. If people have economic independence, they will have sooner or later political independence. So that's when the nationalizations came. That's when the reforms, the housing reform, where if you had more than 2 houses, you can only keep one. The agricultural reforms, the first one was if you had more than 30 caballerias, which is, I did the math once, more than 1,000 acres. Mm-hmm. Anything over 1,000 acres, I'm gonna take everything away from you. You keep 1,000 acres. That wasn't enough. They came with the second agricultural reform, which was if you have more than 5 caballerias, which is probably 20 acres. If you have more than 20 acres, I'm gonna take everything away from you, which is what happened to my grandpa, right? They stole everything. And with the land, they stole the tractors, the cows, the pigs, because he was an exploiter of the people. A man who once a year employed the wives of the farmers around, putting tomatoes in little plastic wrapping in a ¿cómo se dice patana? In a boat.
Right.
Next day,
Patumbo? I don't know.
No.
So this is like how they would ship the shipment.
It's the ones that you barges.
Barge. Nice. Barge.
Yeah. They would put it in a barge, and next day that tomato from that little insignificant farm was being sold in Miami. So Castro cannot allow that. And this is what's happening now. They which is what Riquet was talking about. They cannot allow entrepreneurship. They cannot allow economic independence, and that's why they're doing this. Now, the second part of these tariffs is the one that is really scary. but not scary, but it's going to affect a lot of people. If you want, I have to share, you can share.
I have it.
All right. Next.
200%.
Did you see that?
Wait, whoa.
Well, I'm going
From
to
51 to 500.
That doesn't apply. Nobody goes to Cuba with less than $1,000 in value. And this is what it reads. Passengers, non-residents.
So that would be somebody like me.
Or me, or tourists from England.
That would be most of us because
yeah,
that's 90% of the people.
Right. You automatically become a non-resident when you leave, and then you have to reapply. You have to apply to be a resident again in your birth country. That's how that works.
Yeah, which I would never do. Yeah. And so passengers, non-residents, and permanent residents who travel for a second time within the year. So goodbye your business, right? Because look at these tariffs. $50 to $500, nobody goes with less than $1,000 to Cuba. So the second part, $500 to $1,000, 200%.
Wow. Interesting.
So you can take it down, Rick. So what that means, obviously, is and it doesn't have to be Cubans, like Cuban Americans like us. It can be a French tourist, a Canadian tourist who goes to Cuba and wants to take some presents for some friends valued over $1,000. People, one iPhone, and the new iPhone is $1,000.
I think these people are desperate. I honestly believe they're at the breaking point of desperation because this is they have no idea what they're doing.
It's strange, right? Like it's not a smart move, I think.
Absolutely
not at all.
Not. People are just not going to go to. There's so many countries to go to.
Yeah.
Right?
Iskra, and it's not even about how much money you have. I don't care how much money you have.
No.
There is no human being that is willing to pay for something 3 times. You might die from here for $1,000, and then you get to Cuba, and the nice gentleman in customs tells you, "Oh, thank you for bringing this iPhone. Now you owe me $2,000, which is 200% of $1,000. So you're gonna pay $3,000." But
you're gonna say keep it, and you're gonna lose your iPhone.
But the thing, Jose, the thing is that I'm talking. The example I'm putting is a luxury item, the latest iPhone. But no, we're talking about shoes, diapers, coffee, rice, things that Cuba don't have. The people shampoo.
Anything over $50.
Huh?
Anything over $50 is like double, right? You pay 100%.
Everything over $500.
Over $500. Okay.
You end up paying 3 times.
Listen, when you go to Cuba, you can't. You have to understand. I don't know, Rickett, if you've ever done it on your own, but
no, I know the gusanos. Just filled up like 2-3 gusanos.
Visit your family. You don't go with less than $3,000 in merchandise.
Stuff.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it because otherwise you only go once every 2 to 3 years, and you have so many people. You want to give everybody a little something.
Oh, Angel, you forgot about las libras because there's also tariffs on the weight.
No, I have it there too. But again, I think the language is so ambiguous that I think they're waiting for the reaction of people. So right now, everybody's talking about we have a visitor. Hello, sir.
That's my husband.
Hello,
hey, hola.
Yeah, Cuban American as well.
No, he's Cuban American. He's Cuban American. Yes.
Nice to meet you, sir. No, yeah, the libras.
Well, this is an English debate.
It's in English? Okay.
Vamos a hacer el crossover. Hey.
It's all right.
William.
Hey, his English is very good looking too.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they're being serious. You know what? I saw you saw the Milanese protest in Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Wasn't that interesting how the cops were like on the side of the communists? Like,
yeah.
And actually, I think one of the cops said, "Oh, there's a presidential order. You cannot have your protest."
Yeah.
And our side, the Cuban protesters, right, protesting for freedom and human rights, they're like, "But we have a permit. Look at it. Here it is.
But
They
you
had
know
their
that
protest,
set up
but I
because
mean,
at the same day, Enrique, well, people in English don't know. They're never gonna watch this. But there's this channel called El Mundo. It's pretty much a Cuban spy. But but anyway, in that channel, they brought a guy from that embassy, from the Dominican embassy, making jokes and making fun of the people who went to show up at the Dominican, the people, trying to ask for freedoms and liberties and human rights and stuff like that.
Right.
And they brought him onto this live to kind of give the spill of the dictatorship, and it sounded to me like they all had all this planned before the protesters even showed up.
Interesting. So they probably, when they applied, somebody tipped them off.
Yes.
In the Dominican government. I could see that because remember that Diaz-Canel and his wife traveled to the Dominican Republic in a private jet like almost every week with like suitcases.
I've been to Punta Cana, the DR, 4 times. To one of those all-inclusive. Half of the time I'm drunk, and the other half I'm brushing brains because they're all so brainwashed with Castro's propaganda.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's
they had a dictator. They had Trujillo there.
They might have bought like half that island,
Yeah, but after Trujillo,
this is why it's important to do these types of programs, because let me explain to you. I've been to Dominican Republic. I've been to Italy. I've been all over the world. The Cuban government has done a very good job doing a great propaganda internationally. I remember our last trip when we went through Western Europe on a cruise, and we stopped at 11 countries, and in every single stop, Fidel Castro had passed away. They would give us the sentiments. Oh
my God. And you were drunk. You were with some people. What are you talking about? Leave me alone. I'm celebrating this.
I wanted to celebrate, and people would be like, "Oh my God, we heard about Fidel Castro," and I was like, "What the hell are these people talking about?" We wanted. We lost.
Sorry, I kicked them out by mistake. Come in, Angel. Sorry about that. Hold on, I'll send you the thing.
I'm glad I'm not in the controls now.
I was so surprised by all that. I was like, this is crazy. And then after that, it's exactly what you're saying. So it's El Show de El Mundo, right? Which is this guy, again, I think he's a Cuban spy, but whatever. He's here, whatever. He's doing his little show. Then he leaves, and then they bring in 2 doctors, one from someplace in Africa where they're like, ripping these doctors apart. And they're supposedly doing a mission, but we know that's all paid and stuff. And another doctor another Cuban doctor, supposedly in Italy, and they're saying how great the Cuban health system is and all this stuff. And then after they're done with those 2 ladies talking about health, then they bring this guy from the Cuban embassy in Dominican talking about what they were doing, and it was all so planned out. The way I saw it, I'm like, these people were tipped. These people had this, knew this ahead of time.
Oh yeah. Welcome back, my friend. Sorry about that.
It's not
I wanted to show you guys, because last, let me see, on Saturday, I went out here in Atlanta, and I was smoking a cigar or whatever, looking all Cuban, and I get this Argentinian guy, and he's like, oh, Maradona. He loved Cuba, blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, well, we Cubans, we don't like Castro, and he liked Castro. I'm like, oh no politics, man, the people, the culture. And this is all I could see, like, in my mind when this guy was like, talking to me about that freaking nasty dude. This is what Maradona went to do in Cuba, right? Like, with very young girl, possibly underage, fat, very fat, cooked out of his mind, This is the Great Revolution, right? Where, like, very young college-age girls, probably in college, some of them might be teachers or, I don't know, math students or whatever it is.
Wow.
And they have to sell their bodies to this, like, nasty dude, in order to like bring food to their mothers or their grandparents, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't.
you see, like people tell me, "Oh, Cuba, excellent,"
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Show them
"You
that.
don't know, you don't know." And then they say, "Oh, no politics, no politics." Well, you are an idiot because if you don't want, how do you say? You don't mess with politics, well, politics mess with you. That's just the way it is. The school that you send your kids to, how much you get paid, how much you don't get paid, how much vacation, your taxes, how your streets are, everything has to do with that.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of like immorality, man. There's a lot of
To be honest, that's one of the reasons people
breakdown
come to Cuba right now.
values.
It's not because Cuba has such a great healthcare system. It's because there's prostitution, and it's because you know, people have to sell themselves to, you know, get food on the table sometimes.
And let me tell you that right now with this whole monetization and thing, prostitution is going to go skyrocket now again, because that's exactly what happened in the 90s.
Las jineteras, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the last part of the new tariffs, it has to do with the los paquetes, ¿cómo se dice? Packages.
Yeah.
Wait, los paquetes. What do you mean? Like the videos, the shows?
No, the packages that people send. The people send
parcels that we send via the Cuban agencies that send packages to Cuba.
Okay, I think DHL works there.
Well, the thing is, dear Rica, that they're going to apply also 200%.
Really?
No, sorry, 100% over $200.
That's interesting. So what?
You can share the screen. I have it there.
Put it up. I don't see it.
So who has the embargo, huh? That's my question.
Yeah,
right. Why are they doing that? They are pissing off the people. Not just the people like us, probably, that we're doing the parón, we're not going back, or we're not sending any money, right? They're gonna piss off the last bit of people.
I think they're gonna piss off even the lefties that are doing
right. Yeah, the people that still don't talk about politics.
Like, I have my grandma down there, and I'll be honest. So during the parón, I still send her $60 because she's like 73 and she's, you know, whatever. I send her money, but I cannot send her more money than what I send her. What I send her is that's it. It's the max.
No, but no, I'm not referring to people like you that have, you know, an elderly person, a son or a daughter, or like, you know, like a close family that, you know, you're helping out like that. I'm talking about, you know, the guys that live in an efficiency here in Hialeah somewhere. You know, they're a janitor or whatever, and then they go to Cuba 3-4 times, you know, and to spend everything.
What I mean is, for anybody, they're already sending their max. Like, it's not like we can print money here. They can do it over there, but it's not like we can print money here.
Yeah. There we go. I see it, Angel. I don't understand what they're trying to do. There's some kind of weird trick that they're doing because it doesn't make sense to me.
So, people, natural Cuban residents, people who live in Cuba, who receive articles in excess of the $30, talking that which was mentioned before, previously mentioned, and up to $200, we have a tariff of 100%. Up to $200. Okay.
I think.
So you pay.
They must be on their way out. This is just the last money grab. Before
you know what I think?
It's over.
I think that is either that or that they want to put it as hard as they can put it. So if they have to give up stuff, they can give up this stuff. And distract.
So when they try to negotiate.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're showing the worst they can do, and I think after the reaction of people, they're probably going to reinterpret.
Right.
Because we are stupid, because we can read Spanish. That's what it says there. I don't care what you say later. But this one is not even that bad. This also is to eliminate, obligate everybody, make everybody having to go to the hard currency stores that they own, the monopoly of hard currency stores. You know, let me go back.
By hard currency, we mean not Cuban pesos. So euros, dollars, anything but Cuban money.
Correct.
Which And by the way, and you can only do it with their MLS credit card because
That's
they
the
want to
other
keep
thing.
the dollars.
I don't
You
want
don't
to
actually get to touch the cash.
They have
Look at this. Look at this little paragraph, which is kind of hidden within the letter, but I found it, and it's very interesting. This, am I with you guys? All right. This resolution gives the authority to the Minister of Finances and Prices to
Full discretion, dude.
to give extensions, total extensions or partial extensions of payment of these tariffs of the established. I'm side translating; it's very hard. Of the tariffs that have been established. In those cases, this is it. In those cases in which the circumstances so advise, and to dictate as many dispositions or complementary dispositions needed as necessary for its application. So what that means is that the minister has the authority to forgive these tariffs, to exempt some companies or people, whether natural or judicial people, people or companies, not to have to pay these tariffs. And what I think they're saying there is that Jose was talking about local hysterical crazy communist Edmundo. But when Edmundo goes to Cuba, Edmundo won't have to pay that tariff.
Oh, so we're talking about because the communists in Cuba are also natural persons, or they have
that's a natural person, and then the companies would be
the military companies,
the agencies in Miami that send packages,
right?
Which they are all connected to the government. That's the government. Everybody
the travel
knows
agencies, the package agencies,
those companies in Atlanta.
Willing to play. Whoever's willing to play is who's going to get the different rules.
What they all play. That's the thing, Jose. All of those agencies are already playing. They are owned by the government, or at least you have to be a servant of the government. You cannot have that kind of independent business from the government. You have to talk to the embassy all the time. You have to talk to customs all the time. Of course, that's only trusted people, very trusted people. I know one in Kentucky who I know, well, I don't know, but allegedly.
Dicen, comentan.
Allegedly, dicen, comentan, platican, murmuran.
Right.
That he belongs to, that he has very, very tight connections to the Cuban government. As a matter of fact, I can say he factually created an association in Kentucky, in Louisville. His name is Raul Kwan. He created an association of Cuban exiles in Louisville, Kentucky, where he invited the Cuban ambassador and the consul. That was when Obama was in power. And he brought them. And of course, the Cuban community rejected that BS. And they created Comunidad Cubana de Kentucky, which is on Facebook, Cuban community of Kentucky, which is, completely for the freedom of Cuba. But, you have a Raul Kwan in every city who owns an agency in every city in America, in every country in Europe. So they will probably be exempted of paying these tariffs. That's why they put that paragraph there.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, that's the other part. Like, I think there's also going to be some kind of new migration wave, right? I heard that there's a new caravan coming up.
Well, Biden comes to power. He's a Democrat. Historically, under a Democratic president, that's always what happens. I mean, Carter, Clinton. So here comes.
And I know that's the case, but the one thing they haven't calculated is that even though that's true, there's a pandemic. And for the first 100 days, Biden's going to supposedly try to shut everything down. So I imagine that includes the border. So I don't know if they really thought that.
We'll have to wait and see, because to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know what can happen with the look at this. Yeah. Bill Gates, better than Cash Alliance, the form of digital currency in the world, so the governments can control the food and money. People research the Great Reset too. Yes.
Yeah, it's the fourth revolution, the fourth industrial revolution.
Well, isn't it global? The global globalization. Yeah, and it's all come to that. And I mean,
I just don't like that and this is a criticism to America.
Yeah.
They just let Cuba fester there for 60 years. Let them destabilize Latin America again and again and again. I mean, even with the war on drugs, I mean, have you seen where Cuba is on the map? Have you heard of Ochoa? I think it's even in Narcos, right? Like Pablo Escobar went to Cuba. I mean,
the thing is, we go back to the media, brother, and then the image that Americans have about Cuba. If you go to CNN, when San Isidro was happening, CNN was reporting what a good job the Ministerio de Military is doing in Cuba fighting drugs.
No.
Oh yeah, that was. And then you
at
also
the same
saw,
time.
And then you also saw. I think I put that on Facebook. The vice president of CNN on that recorded call with the CEO.
Right.
Because they're all lefties. Because they're all.
Listen. In this recorded call, this lady, the vice president, who happens to be Cuban American, from California,
of course,
is saying, this is before the elections, is saying that she was clear in that Florida was being lost by Biden because he was using socialism, and I mean, not him, the Republicans were using socialism, and there was a narrative that we CNN should do something to combat or work against because we can still maintain Florida. We can win Florida, but we have to go against that narrative about socialism, etc. But deep down, quite frankly, guys, the problem with the Cuban American community, that community is attracted to bullies. We are attracted to bullies. That is recorded. I have it on my Facebook somewhere, translated and everything. And I was like, oh my God. Daily Wire, they have a few articles about it too. By the way, did you see what Daily Wire put today?
About the judge?
Yeah.
I'm
not in denial. I'm not a denialist. I think we lost the election, but this is very interesting.
You know, it's
I have it here.
Yeah, look like what Benjamin Smith is saying here. KGB active measures. He's been playing that Cold War, Call of Duty. Yuri Bezmenov knows.
Yeah.
America screws up every country to try to take control. You guys are absolutely right about the left. That's the thing. Like America, well, maybe America is too broad. There's a segment of America that didn't realize that they're at war with China and Russia and Cuba.
I think, you know what? I think Americans overall, because they've always had so much freedom. And I said this to a lot of my coworkers back when 9/11 happened. You know, when 9/11 happened, I told them, I said, you know, America doesn't understand that our borders are too widespread. We're too open to everything and everyone. And, you know, you guys take your freedom for granted. Those of us that have lived in socialism and have lived through what that means, we know that you have your freedom. You have to really fight for it and keep it. And that's why, you know, and this is why what's happening. And then people forget again, you know, so 9/11 happened, and then we went back to opening our border. And again, you know, they were very cautious at the beginning. We were treating people, you know, doing background checks when people would come in, and then all of a sudden we started opening the doors again because Americans don't understand what it is to lose their freedom. They don't understand what it is that they have. They have no idea how hard it is not to have freedom. You
That's
have
so
to
true.
fight for that.
That is so true. Amen. And the first thing, the first freedom they have to fight nowadays, and I tell my young girl is 17. She is, of course, a liberal, because at 17 you should be a liberal, and otherwise you don't have a heart. And at 40 you should be a conservative, otherwise you don't have a brain, right? And I tell her, baby, you can be and actually she's coming already so soon, because I give her opinions, but more than opinions, I give her facts. And when I said no, what I call it, close the tab, close the CNN tab on your browser, close the CBS. Let's open new tabs in your life, and you don't have to agree with what you read. I just want you to see Daily Wire, Newsmax. I put some videos of Shapiro with young people, because his language, especially a few years ago, the kids get identified. And one of them, there is a video of him that I love so much. When he's in this university and with two African Americans on the stage, and when they ask him, he says the problem is not racial, and everybody starts laughing and making fun of him, including the other two participants. And then when they finally let him talk, and he says the problem is cultural, because before the laws, the Social Security benefits laws that benefited people from not working, in the 60s, late 60s, 80% of African American families were nuclear families.
Right.
Mom and dad lived together at home, or at least mom and dad had a very close relationship in raising their kids. Nowadays, it's 20%. Everybody stopped laughing, including the two African Americans, very liberal, that were in the stage, and everybody shut the hell up. Yeah. Why? Because he had facts, and that's what I give my kids, and that's what Americans. It's the first freedom is of information, because if you don't look for information, you're gonna be fooled.
That's right.
It's gonna be too late when you wake up.
When people and the worst part is that they think that we are against the blacks and against the gays and against everything. They put us all like we're the bad people, and here we have a young black man, guy, and
I'm a man. You can say I'm not a Latinx. I'm a man.
A young black. I don't know.
I'm a man.
I mean, you have a woman. Listen, I have spoken. I have spoken for
What's going on?
I have spoken for women's rights at several places. I have spoken for Black people and Hispanic, rights at places, because, yes, there's a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
Don't put us, but we still, but we that doesn't change the fact that we can just sell our freedom. There's a lot of work to be done, but that we need to.
There is a lot of work to be done, but stop using Colin Kaepernick, Black Lives Matter, and LeBron James.
Well, Colin Kaepernick was raised by white people.
Start using real African Americans who have successfully broken the cycle, and give me pictures of the black teacher, of the black doctor, of the black neurosurgeon, of the black soldier, of the black.
We must all be like LeBron James.
Entrepreneurs. We all have to be. Colin Kaepernick win the genetic lottery and be 6'8" and beast. No, that's not the example you need to give the little black kid in Atlanta. You need to give the example of the firefighter, the African American teacher who has a decent life in suburbia or urban area, but a decent life, who is not in crime, who is not rapping, who is not playing sport, who is successful in this country. That's what you need. That's the word that you need to start spreading. And yes, we have to make some substantial changes in some cases, especially in some states with the social justice. I agree.
Listen, I was a single mother of 3 children and finished my college degree working full time. Okay, and I became an accountant in this country. Those are the opportunities. Did I have to sacrifice? Yes, I did. I had to sacrifice a lot of my children's time and it took a lot of efforts on my side, but it can be done.
Yeah, but
So
it can be done.
And I'm an immigrant from another country.
Correct. But you come, Mrs. Cry, I don't know your story, but I assume you came from a decent family who educated you and gave you morals and principles.
No, actually, to be honest with you, Angel, I come from, I come from the ghetto. I came to the
That
United.
doesn't mean that your family was ghetto.
No, but I actually, you know what? My study,
Wait, Ikra, are you a repartera by birth? Is this what's happening right now?
Yes, I am. I am.
Oh my God.
No, Riquette, you don't know my entire life. You don't know my entire, I came to the United States when I was 9 years old in 1980 through the Mariel boat raft.
Marielita.
Marielita. And my parents, unfortunately, didn't make the very good choices, okay, when they came. And there was a lot of easy ways of money.
We're talking about that, what was the name of that movie, Scarface situation going on?
Yes.
Whoa.
And they made me live in some of the worst places in Miami, okay? And I made the decision at the age of 16 that was not.
Did you live in Overtown, Opaloca?
No, I went to Jackson High School.
That's my high school. I went to Jackson. What you talking about? Alapara is a great neighborhood when you watch
that's not the memories I have from Alapara.
No way.
I don't know. I didn't appreciate having to walk through a metal detector every morning.
Oh yeah, that's Jackson, all right. Now it's nice.
Well, Mrs. Scott, then you're talking exactly. You are a very good example of someone who broke the cycle.
Yeah,
absolutely. Tell me that it can't be done.
But there is.
I graduated from Jackson while it was still an F school, by the way, like 20% graduation rate. Jackson, great school.
There is still
you really broke the standard.
And I said to myself, I'm getting out of here. I am not going to be one of the statistics. And I left my home at the age of 16. I went to night school. I graduated night school and I got my high school diploma. I didn't get a GED. And I went back to college 10 years later. And I had 3 children and I made a life for myself. And today I am an entrepreneur. I own my own accounting firm. I've made a life for myself. I have 3 wonderful children. So don't tell me that you were born in this United States of America and you don't have the opportunities that I have.
I gotta interview you in my channel because this story is amazing right now.
The other side to that story, probably your parents made some mistakes, but they were there for you, weren't they?
In some cases, I mean,
okay,
just leave it alone, Angel. This is like one of those like pressure situations or something.
No,
I mean,
there's a lot.
Don't say anything. Leave it for my channel.
It's gonna be successful regardless of what parenthood or what child.
No, I had in the first 6 years of my life, I had people in my life that gave me a lot of love. And it showed me right from wrong.
So what I'm thinking is of the African American kid who is born to a drug addict mom, whose father is in jail, who at age 8 is seeing people being shot in his neighborhood in Chicago, in Baltimore, in St. Louis, who at age 12, everybody makes fun of him every day because he doesn't have the shoes, he doesn't have the clothes, and that's all. Remember, this is a child who was not raised reading books.
I get it. I have.
No, but let me finish the point. I'm not saying that justifies everything. I'm just saying that that's the kid that the society needs to help, but not with LeBron James. Not with my daughter has already 2 colleges that accepted her and gave her full scholarship. Little immigrant whose parents barely speak any English, and she can do it. So of course, my influence and her mom's influence in her life has always been not college but graduate school. I mean, here is you. What are you going to do in graduate school? You know, so the black kid needs that help. That's where society needs to help breaking the cycle, but again with attainable goals, not with rappers, not with sport athletes, but with other African Americans who brought with iskras, with stories like yours. I heard a story on NPR, nonetheless, the other day about this African American from Baltimore who was going to the University of Maryland, and his father was supporting him. But the last 2 years, his father got sick, like really sick, and this kid started to work in the garbage trucks for the city because it was a good schedule, because it was 3 a.m. to 8 or 9 a.m. He worked like 6 hours, enough income to support him and his father. He finished University of Maryland, and he has a full grant, whatever. He's doing graduate school in Harvard.
Nice.
This is a black from Baltimore who was a garbage. Of course, NPR puts it because it's a beautiful story. And I loved it. And I'm like, why is CNN not putting this everywhere instead of calling Kaepernick?
Exactly. My daughter has a good friend who comes over a lot. My daughter graduated in the top 10% of her class in high school, and they had a very close niche, with the kids. And one of them was a black young man who's now in Georgetown University. They actually as a professor. Wow. And he came from parents, his grandmother. He actually was raised by the grandmother because his father was in jail and the mother was a drug addict, and it was the same thing. But the kid is a wonderful, wonderful kid, and he graduated at top of his class, and he's great. So those are the stories that need to be out there.
Yeah, I think we gotta statistically, obviously, like the average, it just doesn't. It's when you have the deck stacked against you, right? You're gonna see that Angel. He makes a good point that we need to maybe fix some things in a bigger context of the culture. Like
culture.
It has to be normalized for them to. Actually, for just everybody, just to make some good decisions. Like Ben Shapiro don't have kids before marriage, finish high school, and something else. I forgot what it was. And then you have a good life, right? So that should be just something basic that every culture, every kid of every race should know and should be taught. But then, like
the situation is right now, Rick. In 2012, Obama was saying to the African American community, Barack Obama was saying, going to school, getting an education is not being light. Because there is apparently a vision in that community that, instead of being...
They didn't think Obama was black enough because he went to Harvard.
Yeah. No, but this is the point I'm trying to make. Obama doesn't talk about that anymore. All they talk about now is BLM, racial justice, social justice. What happened with accountability? What happened?
Don Lemon said the same thing.
When he said that, I was good. I was glad with that message.
Don Lemon was actually saying the same thing again. Pull up your pants.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day. You and I were talking about this the other day. No, nobody talks about that. That message is forbidden from the media. It's all
the thing is, they were selling something, right? They were selling because I think those type of black people, they're not. Maybe I disagree with Jose. They're not really black. They're black when they need the other black people to give them votes or to maybe to convince them.
My opinion,
to convince the population, but they pretend to be something else when they're around the white liberals or the white progressives. We can't be too black over here in Silicon Valley. No.
And that upsets me, because when you start changing your identity, that's serious. When you start changing, if you can't speak freely, that is an issue. That has become an issue now in our country.
I think the reason why CNN and everybody else and the reason why BLM became such a big story is it was a weapon to get rid of Trump, and I think that's why it got all the publicity it got. I think that's why it became the number one story, even though the pandemic was supposedly the number one story, and for weeks and months it became the number one item. It was in the cities it happened. It was all democratically run, and that's why they allowed for the instances of when there was some disturbance and stuff like that. And I really think it was a weaponization of a movement in order to get a political president out of the White House.
Yeah. If you look at Cuba's history, you'll see that the Cuban government uses race. For example, in the 60s, I think there was a lady that she was part of the some kind of black radical movement, and I think Black Panthers too, and she killed a cop in California, Ashanti Shakur or something like that.
Asafa Shakur.
And then, basically she's a runaway, FBI most wanted, and she lived out her life in Cuba. And the Cuban government at that time, they were hyping up the civil rights, they were hyping up Malcolm X, they were hyping up Black Power. And at the same time, you see the Movimiento San Isidro, bunch of black people, artists, rappers, etc. Oh, by the way, real rap in Cuba is not sanctioned, or is put down by the government, right?
It's not
real rap, like with lyrics, remember, like NWA, like conscious rap, let's call it that. I think that's more closer to what people have here in America. Conscious black rap in Cuba is not, it's illegal basically, or it doesn't get like the help that the other more like pop type of, shake your hips and just very like commercial type of music gets. Okay, just so that you guys know, because obviously conscious rap is, what are they going to talk about? The reality of Cuba,
right.
In the black neighborhoods.
So
these socialists are very, hypocritical, if not just downright, disrespectful and evil and racist.
Obama just said in his memories that America voted for Trump because they were tired of 8 years of a black president.
And to be honest with you, I'm very disappointed.
I'm so disappointed.
I'm very, because
I voted for him the first time. Honestly,
I did too.
For Obama,
I did too. And
I
voted for him twice.
And I bought the Michelle Obama's book, and I am very, very disappointed. I drank the Kool-Aid. I did.
Of course, he's a smooth operator,
But it wasn't as bad as it is now. The Democratic Party back then,
no,
it was more center.
It wasn't,
and you had a good unified message of hope at the beginning.
You have to know my history. My first 6 years, I lived in an interracial household. So, I am
Wait,
not.
You're black, Iskra? What's happening here? I'm just learning so much. Wait, did you live in a cuarteria in Cuba?
The father that I knew, I didn't know my biological father until I was 6 years old.
Whoa.
The father that I knew was black until I was 6 years old. So I lived in an interracial household until I was.
That explains why you are the typical racist Cuban American.
That's what we are. She's so racist that she founded an organization that helps Hispanic women have businesses. Is that what's the name of it?
Yeah, we love bullies. We are racist. Yeah, because we, as the founders of Black Lives Matters, we decided to put all kind of posts with Castro, Asafa Shakur, Maduro, and the Marxists. I don't have any problem with the movement of trying to bring up your race, your ethnicity, your religion, whatever it is that you're fighting for. But when you get together with people who oppress me,
I
cannot identify.
Kaepernick. I love sports, but when Colin Kaepernick was wearing a Che Guevara shirt, I was like, what the? Heck, so what are you talking about, bro?
You know what really upset me when they put that Che Guevara flag in the middle of Miami. That was very upsetting to the Cuban, to the exile community.
Well, don't you remember they spray painted Columbus' statue with the hammer and sickle, down in Bayside? I was like, oh, you don't know.
They have no.
You're confused.
I'm glad I wasn't living. I'm glad I was 600 miles away. To be honest.
Yeah. No, and Kaepernick is the one who shows up in the media with a Fidel Castro T-shirt.
Wait, what? A Castro T-shirt too?
You haven't seen that?
No, he doesn't have a Castro T-shirt.
Yeah, that's when he lost me. He lost me with the kneeling. I don't think the kneeling was effective. I know it's very controversial, but it wasn't a unifying message the way he chose to do it, anyways. And also on another conference, he shows up with socks that had pigs with cop hats. So how are you bringing people to your cause? How are you trying to people to listen to you when the first thing you are doing is putting these hateful messages on your image?
Oh my God!
You lose anybody in the middle who couldn't even consider supporting you. You lose everybody when you start putting.
You are not. I don't care who you are, Kaepernick. You are not more liberal than Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who just passed away. Rest in peace.
Right.
And her message was, fight a fight where you bring people to your cause, not when you divide more. Why don't they listen to the smart liberals? There are some that are really smart.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, sir. Oh, you have not seen that already?
Because I told you, see, Malcolm X. So they're like, oh, because civil rights. That's what they did in the 60s. They tried to, go for the black cause. But I'm researching what Castro did to Africa and the black cause, because there's the same Carlos Moore.
I had a whole conference with black people here in my state, because they still love. I mean, they were there in Harlem when Fidel Castro was here.
So you live in New York.
Let's show them a picture of the Cuban government and see how many Afro faces we see there.
Thank you.
Well, I actually have, Enrique, we need to do this program because I've actually downloaded a whole video on, racism in Cuba, and we need to do a program on this.
There is a professor.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna share with you guys right here quickly. I'm waiting on this book to get to me. Castro and the Blacks and Africa by Carlos Moore.
Yeah, but it's
right here.
Oh, you got it there for $23.50? Amazon had it for
I don't know.
$80.
This was in 1993. That's the other thing. Like, publishers, for some reason, do not, I had to buy it used, so I'm waiting for it. But, these kind of books, bro, they're hard to find. I think, bro, I'm pretty sure that either it's because they lean left, these publishers, or there's an actual campaign to not have this, kind of readily available.
I think a lot of that is because they're trying to get rid of a lot of this stuff.
That's the thing. The Sociedades de Color, before the revolution in Cuba, you had black only clubs, okay? Because there was a little bit of informal or de facto segregation in Cuba. So a lot of the black people in Cuba actually had self-help groups. For black people and black country clubs. Oh yeah. There were black social clubs, black country clubs in Cuba, and he got rid of all of that.
But there were also mixed country clubs or clubs, social clubs.
Yeah, they were white only, mulatto, and then black and everything, because it wasn't a law to be segregated,
Yeah, exactly. And they were mixed too, because in Guinness, where my grandparents was, they had those. And there was one that was for normal people, black, white, everybody got there.
But look at that, back in the 70s, he banned afros and Cuban religion, Afro-Cuban religion in the first years of the revolution. There's a lot of stuff, man. And Carlos Moore was actually exiled from Cuba.
Now that you spent so much time,
now he lives in Brazil. So I'm gonna read his book, and I'll do a What's gonna call it? A live stream about that.
Let me see if I put it here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the picture of the Cuban government. I don't see many Afro faces there.
No, there is only one.
They have that one guy, the token black guy. He's around somewhere.
Lasso's the only one.
Lasso, exactly. And he's been the token black Cuban government guy for like decades, right?
Yeah, and then if you go to so in Cuba they have these investment firms that go, people from Canada, from Europe, they go and they invest money in Cuba for production, for services, whatever. And the Cuban nationals who work on those firms are very privileged because you are making hard currency in a society where the average salary is, I don't know, $100 a month, whatever it is, and they make good money. On those firms, you don't see a black face. On restaurants, people who work with tourists who make tips, you don't see a black face. It's very minimal. The population is about 50% black. On those privileged positions, it's about 8 to 10% black. See the racism, systemic racism?
I'm from a town really close to a Rio Beach village called Varadero. And in Varadero, if you go, almost anybody who works at the hotel, like the vast majority of people who work there, are all lighter skin.
White, whatever white means in Cuba, but yeah, no blacks.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
So you're from Cardenas?
No, my Colón, a little more to the inner.
That's not so close to Varadero. You are a Guajiro.
20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Oh wait, no! Look, there's a black guy here. I'm looking at the Sherritt, which is the Canadian mining.
A unicorn. It's like look, there is a black guy.
And they have a stock picture. Hold on.
Guys, I need to go. It's midnight.
Yeah, it is.
This is a good show.
Next time.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, no, we did. We actually, I was looking for a video I pulled up last night, and I couldn't find it now. But yeah, we need to do an entire show on that because there's so much that people just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, they think that socialism or Marxism is going to be the
equalizer,
the savior of everyone's problems.
Yeah,
and the only equalizer it does is that it brings everybody down. Doesn't lift anybody up.
That's the way. Yeah, make everybody equal.
No, it doesn't bring everyone down. It brings power and money to a very top level of people, and then everybody else is
right. Very accurate, Iskra.
So,
you take care, guys. Have a good night.
All right, you guys,
my friend.
Please
good night.
every Monday night at 9. We're gonna.
At 9, you started much later tonight, didn't you?
I know we had a little bit of a back
studio issues, technical difficulties.
Technical issues, but
9 p.m. is perfect for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Take
care, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.